Hello everyone. I am discombobulated today. Welcome to another episode of Cinnamon Stitches. I am your yarn host, Jennifer. Oh man. You guys know I pre-record everything. And in order to get a Monday video up, I have to record this on Sunday. And I just got home from the yarn crawl maybe an hour ago. Not even. Probably an hour ago. My brain is fried, so I'm going to apologize to you in advance for that. If you are here to hear about the yarn crawl, I will talk about that, but on Monday we show our makes for the past 7, closer to 14 days. Well, actually it's been about 10 days. I show you the things I've made over the past generally 7 days, and like I said, my brain is not functioning right now. It keeps stalling. I'm going to show you kind of a recap of what I've made in the past 10 days, give or take. It's been a lot. It's been a lot. I have spun a little bit of yarn. I'm going to show you that. It's not anything spectacular still on the spindle. I want to talk about that though. I finished this top, which is, I've had a lot of people question me about this. This is a very altered edition of my knockout crop top, and it's not a crop top. It is, I changed the heck out of the pattern, but it's the same basic idea. Just when I started it, I did a chain of, actually it wasn't even a chain, it was foundation, single crochet, yeah. I did a foundation single crochet of, I don't remember, but it was about double what I normally do for the knockout crop top. And then I did the sleeves, and then I just did it's also much longer than the knockout crop top, but I do tell you in that tutorial how to make it longer for your body. I also finished the other version of the knockout crop top, which was also not a crop top, and I wore that on day 1 of the yarn crawl, and that was made with earth yarns. I will try to remember to pop up a picture if I can. Actually, I'll show you on my phone. That way I don't have to pop up anything, because it'll just make my life easier, because I already have to upload this. It's been a long day. It's been a really long day. Not complaining. I'm exhausted though, and my brain is not functioning. There it is. Alright, this is made with earth yarns. It's the same shirt that I'm wearing. It's just closer to the tutorial from the knockout crop top with a tighter neckline. This is made with earth yarns. The color is Harmony, and it's the worsted version of the earth yarns unique. And I used, because nobody asked, 3 1/4 balls, or 3 1/4 hanks of that yarn to make a size 3X. This yarn is Lion Brand Anya, which has long been discontinued, is not available anymore. It is a wool yarn. This is what I look like when I'm standing up. It's beautiful yarn. It's a beautiful pattern. I mean, if I do say so myself. And my phone is almost dead. Those are 2 things I finished this week. I also made this shawl. This shawl, I am not going to tell you the pattern because I don't have positive things to say about this shawl. It wasn't a horrible pattern. There are some things I would have changed about the pattern, but I don't want to upset the designer. But I did not care for the shawl, and I will not be able to wear it, and I will tell you why. The way that she designed this, it's a triangle shawl, and I already struggle with triangle shawls being a fat person, because triangle shawls do not come up and forward around our body, and they are generally not made for a bigger body, so they don't take into consideration that the arm span needs to be wider than the point. And if you make a triangle shawl to fit a bigger person, you need to make it huge to be able to wrap around them properly. That is one of the problems I had, but also in the pattern, she starts off with increases on the sides here, and then stops them here, and then starts them back up again here. And so instead of it going straight up and out, it comes like this, which would be fine if the points came forward more, which they don't. And so, I mean, it's not a huge dip, but it's definitely a dip. And this point is level with this point, so it works out as a triangle shawl in that respect. But again, for a bigger body, doesn't work. And if you hold the 2 points straight out, you should have a flat point on a triangle shawl. And when I do that, it folds upon itself. So I can't even block it into the correct position because this part is this part is much higher than this part, so it goes down at this point. It's a beautiful shawl. Don't get me wrong. This probably works on a skinny body. I saw this on a skinny body, which is why I bought the pattern. Another podcaster made this shawl, and if you saw it in her video, you'll know who I'm talking about. It's a beautiful shawl. I made this with, oh, what yarn did I make this with? It's a cake by Knitting Fever. The cake is by Knitting Fever, I believe. It's a beautiful pattern. The stitches are beautiful. I just don't like the shape of the shawl. And if you see, it folds over on itself. So even if I pull it straight, that part is up higher. It'd be a beautiful, look at it. All right. So if I go to wrap it around my body, first of all, this part bunches up, but it also goes down this way. So it has arm coverage, but that's the best that I can wear it because it does not come forward. I could probably stretch it to make it come forward, but it's really pushing it to pull it forward to fit my body properly because I don't like triangle shawls for my shaped body. I have a large body. It is a beautiful shawl. This part bunching up drives me insane. This is cotton yarn. I could try and block it, but even with blocking it, I'm not going to be able to block enough to make this part line up here. I mean, I might be able to, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to. I don't like having to block stuff to get it to fit my body properly. It's beautiful. I would probably make the pattern again, but on the sides here where she stops doing increases, I would add extra increases on the whole thing so that the wings, instead of going, I'm trying to figure out how to do this with my hand. So the wings go this way, okay? I would have the wings go up. So the triangle shawl be more like this with a dip here because that fits better on a larger body. So I may make this pattern. I mean, I did pay for this pattern. It is a paid for pattern. I may make it again with alterations, serious alterations to make the wingspan come forward more so that it actually is wearable for a fat person. But it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. It just doesn't work for me, which is really frustrating. And a lot of designers don't understand how fat body works or how you have to make you can't just make it larger and it fit a fat body. You can't, that's not how it works. Our bodies are shaped all drastically different. And there are very few designers that take into consideration big bodies. And that's why I design the way that I do for you to make so many adjustments, and I tell you how to make many adjustments. I had someone in the Facebook group, as a matter of fact, this week saying she's making I think it was the knockout crop top, and she said it fits up here, but she's pear-shaped. And so I told her, I was like, if you just work in some V stitches towards the bottom and treat those as an increase, you can add more of the holes. It will make it wider and it will fit bigger hips. Because I myself am slightly pear-shaped. So I understand that. Alright, and then I made a whole whack of Jujus N Stitches hats, which I kind of showed you, I think on Easter. Jujus N Stitches made a pattern for bucket hats, and I have a ton of cotton, And I hate using it for washcloths and dishcloths all the time. Sometimes I just want to make something extra and fun. So I made, and I didn't weave in any of my ends because that's how we roll on Cinnamon Stitches. I made a bunch of bucket hats. And the reason I made so many is because hats don't fit me. I have a very big head. Jada always tells you how to adjust for big heads. She always takes that into consideration. And I love working in the garden, and I feel like this will give my eyes a little bit of shade so I don't get a migraine when I'm working in the garden, or if I'm sitting out on the porch and I'm knitting and crocheting or spinning. I can wear my cute little bucket hat. And this is just a granny stitch, so it's ridiculously easy. They work up in about half an hour. I made a bunch. I changed each one of them slightly from each other. I used a ton of scraps. I used a mixture of kitchen cotton and high-end cotton. This is Universal Yarns Cotton Supreme. Or it might be Premier Yarns Cotton Batik, Cotton Supreme Batik. It's one of those two. But is this not beautiful? With a little pair of cute jeans and a white t-shirt. Right? And then this one was the first one I made. It was absolutely scraps. I thought I made 5. I don't know where the 5th one is, if there's 5, but I made a whole whack of those. That is a lot for the past 10 days, considering I was working through some anxiety, and when I have anxiety, I crochet until my fingers fall off, literally, and I'm suffering from a flare-up at this point, so I'm having a lot of pain in my hands. I also started another top, and it's halfway done, and I'm making the top. It's raglan style, so it's top down in this, it's not this shape, but, and I'm doing it in this stitch, but in a bulky yarn. I'm using Cascade yarns, and it is turning out fabulous. I'm stitched, I'm deep diving in my stash, and I'm using yarn I've had for a while. I'm using, I don't have it in here. I will show you guys that when it's done, probably next week. I'm using Cascade Cartwheel, and it is not the softest yarn at all, but it's going to make a nice sweater. But it's in this stitch right here. It's probably Mr. Cinnamon. Nope. Alright. And last but not least, what I've been working on is I'm spinning. This is merino yarn, merino wool, that I bought from the North Carolina Sheep and Wool Festival, or just the Wool Festival, I think. Fiber Festival, North Carolina. Carolina Fiber Fest. Right? I still got the paper right here. Carolina Fiber Fest. This was the braid. It wasn't a braid. You guys remember this? You guys probably don't remember. I bought fluff, and I call this fluff. It's combed top. I call it fluff. I bought this from a vendor, and I wasn't sure, and it was just literally big piles of fluff just thrown in a bucket. Didn't make no sense, right? I have little pieces left over. And I also bought a braid, which looks more like this. And I bought a braid, and I was like, maybe I should have just bought another braid instead of buying what looked like just... It looked like somebody threw cotton in a bucket. It was just big piles of color. And when you have this in a grocery store bag or a beautiful braid, it somehow feels like the braid is worth more money or more valuable, at least in my mind, instead of just a pile of just in a plastic grocery store bag. And so I was feeling kind of low. I was like, that was kind of expensive for that. Like, I should have just bought another braid. The braids were more colorful, and it was literally, I bought blue and green and this pink color. And then when I got to the car, I made 2 braids for myself, and then I automatically felt better that I spent money because it looks better as a braid, which I know is probably ridiculous to most of you. But I am working with the green because I have way more green than I do of the blue or the pink. So I am making green, and I'm probably going to try to apply this with another color that I either have already made or a color that I'm going to make. But this is like slime green, and I'm kind of loving it. It's very tonal. So it's like light parts, dark parts. And it's just spinning up just, I mean, there's nothing fancy about it. It's not entirely even. I actually really had a really hard time spinning this because I overworked my hands, like I said, trying to work through my anxieties, and I was so nervous about the yarn crawl, and I was so worried about 100 stupid things that I have no control over anyway, and Bentley got sick, and like it was 100 things was just weighing down on top of me, and my anxiety was just really, really high, and I was trying to do this. I'm crocheting my heart out, trying to keep my mind to calm down. And when I picked this up, my hands were already hurting, and I kept dropping my drop spindle. And I was scared I was going to break it. I kept dropping it, and because I kept dropping it, the yarn kept snapping, or the fiber kept snapping on me when I was trying to twist it. And I was getting really, really frustrated, and it led to uneven yarn, but uneven yarn is not new to me. And I've only been spinning for about a month now, and I think that for only doing it a month, that looks pretty darn good, I'm gonna say, if I do say so myself. And I don't mind thick, thin yarn. I really like working with thick, thin yarn, and so if I'm spinning it thick, thin, I think it's gonna be beautiful anyway. And it's not overspun, it's not underspun, it's just, it is what it is right now. So that's what I've been working on right now. You guys came to hear the stories about the Yarn Fest. The way that I'm going to work this is I'm not going to do a, I'm not going to show you my yarn hauls in this video at all because it's a lot. I have a yarn haul. Actually, the way I'm doing this is I'm telling you my story in this video like we normally do. Monday Makes is usually, our Monday videos is usually a blog. I tell you about what's been happening over the past week. I show you what I've made over the past week. And we just talk about life stuff. The rest of the week, I am going to do almost a shop by shop video. So there were 5 shops as a part of the James River Yarn Crawl. I'm sorry, I'm tired. And now I'm like, you're so stupid, turn off the video. Get your brain together first. I don't know that I'm going to be less tired tomorrow. It was a really jam-packed weekend, and I'm really tired, but I'm really happy at the same time. So there's no complaints here at all. But the rest of the week, I'm going to pick 1 or 2 stores and put them together in a video. I have video from almost every store that we visited, but on top of the 5 stores that were part of the James River Yarn Crawl, I also visited another store that is a local yarn shop that I've been to plenty of times. I really like that store. They decided that they were going to have a sale during the yarn crawl, and I already wanted to go stop in anyway because they're in Richmond, and like when I get to Richmond I like to stop in and visit them at Knitting Bee. And as a part of they're doing their own yarn crawl is what they're saying. It's their own yarn crawl. They're doing 25% off all the yarn, which is a killer deal at a local yarn shop. And so I'm like, there's no way I'm missing out on a 25% off. They do a sale for Black Friday, and they start off at 40% off for the first hour, and then 30% off after that, and then they go down to 25% off for the rest of the day. And I've never made it down there because Black Friday is usually family time for us. We go do things that my family wants to do, and I have yet to make it to their Black Friday sale, and I am not at all regretful that I made that as our last stop. But we also went to 757 Creative, which is a creative reuse store in Norfolk, and I made a purchase there. That's going to be a video on its own because me and Little Man made a video together, and we did a little bit of shopping there. Now, I did buy one of the yarns you're going to see in that video. I actually had to throw it out because I was telling you in the video that it said on there that the yarn pulls apart easily, and I thought it meant that it was slightly felted. And no, what that meant is that the yarn was dry rot and they should have threw it in the garbage and not put it in there. But I purchased it because it was a really killer deal, and then I threw all of the yarn away because it was unusable. They said, oh, you could use this for needle felting. First, I don't needle felt, and the yarn I don't think would have needle felted. And even if it did, dry rot is a fungus that continues to eat away at things. So even if you needle felt it, it's not going to last. So I just threw it all away, which killed me to do because it was shawl yarn, and that's a German yarn that I actually am familiar with and love. And I was like, I was so upset that the yarn was disintegrating. I was testing it in the video and it was working, but once I got into the balls and I was playing with them, it was literally just, it would pull apart and like puffs of dust were coming off it. I was like, this is dry rot. This should not have been sold. I don't care if it was a good deal. So I was a little bit irritated by that. Other than that, the way we worked the yarn crawl, I'm going to yawn again, I can feel it. Me and Mr. Cinnamon originally planned to just do the yarn crawl weekend, just him and I. And Little Man kept hinting that he wanted to go. And if you don't know, Little Man is 9 years old, almost 10. He has ADHD. He is full of unspent energy all the time. He's very all over the place sometimes. He also gets very easily overstimulated, and I was afraid. And that was one of the anxieties I was having, is that he was going to have a meltdown in a yarn shop. And these ladies are not going to understand that at all. Like, they're not going to. And I did have an issue in one of the shops where a lady said a sarcastic remark that kind of like made me mad. And I just let it go. And I probably would have said the same thing. I probably would have said the same exact words to Little Man if I was in her position. But the fact that I'm Mama Bear and she doesn't know us perturbed me a lot. And I'm like, let it go, just let it go, just let it go. It wasn't. There were these buttons on her table. Okay. They're handmade. They were like this big. I didn't even know what they were. He's holding them. He's like, what are these? I was like, I have no idea. And she goes, those are buttons and they're really delicate and they break really easily. And I said, just put them down. She goes, yeah, because if they break, your mom's going to buy some really expensive broken buttons or something like that. And I was like, probably could have handled that a little better. She probably could have said, can you please not touch that? Can you please put that down? Or those are breakable. Something I would have stepped in, but like, it really made Mr. Cinnamon mad. And the whole other experience at her store was amazing. Her store was amazing. We were having good conversation. It was that one little thing, just like, Mama Bear kicked in, and it ate at me after we left the store. And I'm like, no, let it go, because I probably would have handled it the same way. I would have tried to have a little more tact, but I mean, the store was still amazing. I had a really good time. It was my favorite store of the 5 that we went to. And you will hear more about that store later in the week, because that store is probably going to be its own video. Oh, it may not. It may not. I may mix that with the other store that's in the same area with it, because we only have 4 days of the week. We have Tuesday through Friday to put up videos, and I visited 7 shops. And 757 Creative is going to be its own shop, so maybe I'll put 2, and then 1. I don't know how we're going to, we'll figure it out. We'll get there when we get there. Yarn Crawl, I explained in Friday's video, it's basically 5 shops came together and they're doing sales and they're having giveaways, and they're doing all kinds of fun stuff to get people into their shop to buy yarns. And they're having trunk shows, like so many trunk shows. If you don't know what a trunk show is, spinners or dyers or yarn people will bring in a supply of yarn, or sometimes just mail in a trunk of their yarn for you to show off and possibly sell. So they send it to the store. It's like a little Avon store, okay? Avon has a big supply. They're going to do a little show. They're going to show you. You can buy from them through the store, and then whatever's left over goes back to the dyer, the designer, whoever. And they will send samples that are stuff that has been made, like, oh look, this is the yarn, this is what can be made with the yarn, that kind of thing. Okay, there were so many trunk shows, like I got overwhelmed. I was so in awe, and I researched the hell out of these companies. I researched every single store with what I could. Baba Sheep in Norfolk does not have a website that you can click on anything. It is very much an informational, here is what we sell. Can't click on any of it. And here is our hours. It was a very basic, so I could not research, and she even said when I was in the store, she is not good. She does not have social media skills. So there's nothing online from her store. And the only thing I saw was from the Zoom meeting that they did. They did a Zoom meeting with all 5 store owners, and they showed what they were trying to feature for the yarn crawl. I watched that, and from that I was like, okay, well, I see something I might like at her store. And what I did is I had my notebook. I got my Stitch notebook, right? And I wrote down my tips for our video for last week for myself. I set a budget, which I'm not going to show you what my budget is, and I'm not going to talk price on none of these items when I show them to you, because that's between me and my bank account and the shops. I set a budget. I stuck to my budget. When I had money left over from one shop, because one of the shops I went to, I only bought 1 skein of yarn. I will talk more about that in the week. So I had money left over from the budget. And so I slid that over to another store that I knew I was going to buy more at. Because, yeah, that store had a lot of really bright colored yarn that made me super happy. And then I went on their websites and I looked through their store on the websites. And I made little notes like, Yarn Matters in Williamsburg. They had Skein Cocaine, CMS Co. Trunks show. Earth Yarns had a trunk show there. And then they had Apple Fiber Studios. All of these yarns I wanted to look at, feel in person. I didn't buy any of those yarns. That's the actually store I only bought 1 skein from. And I bought it from Ridiculous Yarn. And I'm very familiar with Ridiculous Yarn because I have several of her hanks in my stash. And then Dances with Wool, I wrote, and that one's in Midlothian, and I wrote they have fluff, which is spinnable wool, and I wrote the prices that their wool is from their website, $19 to $34 for a braid. And then I wrote, check for the trunk shows. They have trunk shows from 29 Bridges, from Emma's Yarn, etc. Fox Studios, Terrapin. They had 5 trunk shows at Dances with Wool. And I actually bought the 29 Bridges, which I will show you. It is beautiful. I could not walk away from this color, and when you see it, you'll know why. And then, so I wrote all those down. I wrote down the prices of the ones I thought I might like, so that when I went to the store, I was focused, and I was not, color, buy all the things, spend all your money, go to jail because you owe people money, go to jail because you didn't pay your taxes, which are due this month. Like, I was very, and a lot of people just go and they're like, I'll buy one thing at each store. Well, I know myself. I get excited and I want all the things. I also had Mr. Cinnamon keep me reeled in. I told him, I was like, I am looking for X, Y, and Z, which I want a DK or worsted weight. I have a lot of fingering weight. I don't need more. I can buy fingering if it's a color I can't live without. I want to buy some fluff, which I did. I don't want to buy any accessories. Yes, I'm filming. I'm filming. Don't come in. I'm filming. What do you need?
I have the Cricut app on my PC. Can I use your machine?
I don't have the Cricut in here. It's put up somewhere. Let
that,
Oreo out.
It's in that closet, Mom.
Talk to Daddy, and if he says no, just deal with the fact that he says no.
Hey, Daddy.
He's going to scream. I can hear it because he's bored and he wants to do technology, and his dad's going to tell him no because his dad always tells him no. Because his dad's trying to cook dinner. I already know. If he screams, he screams. He's going to go, oh, I'm frustrated, stomp up the stairs, which is right behind you, so you'll probably hear that. I should probably pause the video because I know what's coming. So I did all of this extra research because when I went to the Fiber Fest, I overspent because I was very overstimulated. Oh my God, everything's so pretty. I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that. And I went over my budget by over $100. Didn't want to do that. And I actually am under my budget even now. I had a pretty large budget, an unreasonable to most of you budget, but I've been saving up since a couple months ago because I knew this was coming. And that's why I did all the research. That's why I did a shopping list. That's why I made Mr. Cinnamon keep me on task with, I want this, 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 and don't let me do this. And even though when he was like, hey, you shouldn't get that, it's not DK or worsted, I got irritated with him. I was still grateful that he kept me on task. I did buy fingering weight. I absolutely did. But it was colors that I just knew that I was going to work with, or that I maybe I have something else in stash that will go with it, or I bought 2 to go on a project together. I really was thinking and not just buying, and I was trying to buy colors that I knew that I would want to work with. So I did make notes on all the shops, and like I said, I'm going to do a video every day this week and talk about different shops that we visited. I'm going to show you exactly what I purchased. And we're going to go from there. I got some free gifts too. Like, they were all doing free gifts. If you spent $25, you got this. If you spent $50, you got this. If you spent $100, one of the shops I spent over $100 in because it was my favorite. It was a lot of color. And I got a free tote bag, and it's really, really cute. So I made a lot of notes. I brought this with me. And before we went to every store, I was like, this is what we need to keep an eye out for. This is what we need to keep an eye out for. And not only that, it made me look for those specific things. And if I didn't like those specific things, like, you might see something online and go, oh, that is an amazing color. And then you touch it and you're like, ooh, I don't like the way it feels. That happened a lot. And we just went and looked at the next thing. So it wasn't a set in stone plan, but it was me really being mindful and like having a plan before I went in there so I didn't go hog wild. I also took notes, and I wrote down how much I spent at every store so I could keep track of it that way, but the notebook was so handy. I'm going to show you a couple of things just to wet your whistle to make you want to tune in for the rest of the week. I picked one skein that I purchased from each store, and part of the yarn haul, the yarn crawl, is every store has their own stitch marker, and the stitch markers are actually little dogwoods, and the theme was cherry blossoms, and the stitch markers are dogwoods. I think they were supposed to be cherry blossom, but they ended up being dogwoods. I don't know. I actually followed the person that makes these stitch markers because they reposted one of my posts on Instagram. Battery change. Winifred back there is looking naked. My girlfriend, cover up. Ugh. There, that's a little better. Dresser. I can't reach. There. Now she looks better. So anyway, when you go and you make a purchase, you get a stitch marker. You can collect the whole set. And I collected the whole set. And I picked one hank that I purchased from each store. And I put the stitch marker on it. So this is from Center of the Yarniverse. They are in... Where's Center of the Yarniverse in? I went to so many stores, and it's the first time I visited. Dances with Wool is the only store I have been to previously that was part of the yarn crawl. Center of the Yarniverse is in Ashland, which is a sub, what do you call that? My brain is saying substation. It's part of Richmond. And this is Fredericksburg Fibers. If you don't know, I live in Fredericksburg, Virginia. So I was really happy to see a local dyer. And I actually talked to her. She was really nice. She has some amazing yarns. She has a sparkle base that was gorgeous. This, I was supposed to be buying DK, but I bought the fingering instead because, I mean, rainbow. You guys know I love rainbows. This is called Autumn Rainbow. This is one of the yarns I purchased. This is the stitch marker from Center of the Yarniverse. Isn't that beautiful? So I will be, in the future upcoming videos, I will try to write down every link and post every link. That is what I purchased. Like I said, that ain't all I purchased from there. So This is the Yarn Club. This is in Virginia Beach. This was one of my favorite stores. Now let me find the one that has the stitch marker on it that she had between her local yarn, which is Sheep Graffiti, and they had another dyer there called Wool and Vinyl, and then there was a French yarn dyer, La Bien Amie. Color, like her shop is filled with color. So this is Sheep Graffiti. This is one of her hand-dyed yarns. She said she dyed like 1,500 hanks of yarn for the yarn crawl, which was insane to me. She got all her family. She was like, you guys need help. We need to do this and that. And so I really, really like her color choices. Like a lot. And this is the stitch marker from the yarn. Is it the Yarn Club? The Yarn Club. I kept calling it something else. So that's, and like I said, there's lots more color for me to show you later in the week. She might be her own video. Although I don't know. I don't know how we're going to work it. And then Yarn Stash. I needed a big bag. This has like other stuff in it. It's not all yarn. This was Baba Sheep. In Norfolk. And they had Rising Tide fibers as a part of their this was a little trunk show. It was a really small rack for a trunk show. This is the one and only skein I went in there for, and I obviously bought more than what I went in there for, but this was the one I saw on her Zoom call. I was like, I need to check out that colorway. I don't have a lot of oranges in my stash at all, and I'm sorry, Laura from Mad Mimi's Crochet, if you're watching this. Mine. But like, she loves orange, so that's why I'm calling her out. But is this not gorgeous? It is. This is orange. And this is called the color Fishbowl from Rising Tide Fiber Co. This yarn is stunning and gorgeous. And they even, Baba Sheep's stitch marker was orange. So it was fitting that it went on this stitch marker. Went on this skein. Is this not beautiful? Fishbowl. Mr. Cinnamon is seeing the fishbowl, but I'm like, I don't know if that's fishbowl. But he's like, yeah, it looks like a goldfish. I could see that. And the colored rocks at the bottom. I don't know. It's kind of soft. Like, I kind of fell in love with that. And this one, I don't think. Yeah, this one's fingering too. Whoop. So it was 1, 2, 3 stores. 3 stores. That's from something else. And then this one I got at Dances with Wool, which is in, I think I said Midlothian. This was from the 29 Bridges trunk show. 29 Bridges is a dyer in Maryland, and I've been following them for a while. They've done trunk shows, I think, at my local yarn shop, but I have not gone to that. When I saw this color, this is like Crimson Kisses all day long, which is a tee that I have that has been custom made for me, and that's what this reminded me of. I had to have this. This is everything. This one is DK. She had it in fingering weight, and I was like, it was the first store we went to, and Mr. Sim was like, that's not DK, it's not DK. And I was like, but this color. Then I knew that a lot of the trunk shows only sent in fingering weight. A lot of the trunk shows. And so I was like, I really want that color. And he's like, DK, it's not DK. And so I put it down, and then when I saw that they had it in DK, I was like, it's coming home. I don't care. It's coming home. And so this is Dances with Wool's little stitch marker. Is that not beautiful? It's like orange and baby pink and red and like I don't know, pink, like almost a neon pink is in there. I had to have this. And I also have, reds and pinks over there. I think those might be worsted. No, those are DK. Alright, so I have more yarns that can go with this. This is Kim Knits that I got for Valentine's Day, and those will totally go together. I mean, this is more of a purple, but like, look at right here. It's pretty close. And I have other pinks and purples over there as well. So I have yarn that will go with this, and that's why I had to have that. So that was the 1, 2, is that the 5? No, because I have, this is Ridiculous Yarn. I got this one at Yarn Matters. This is the only thing I bought from Yarn Matters. The store was really small and there was a lot of people in there, and I will talk more about that in another video, but this is the one and only thing I purchased as Ridiculous Yarn. I have more of her yarn. I have purchased Ridiculous Yarn in the past. I follow her on social media. I love her yarn. She also is one of those people that just does bright colors. And here is the stitch marker from Yarn Matters. Backwards. Yarn Matters. Kind of goes with that. So I have my full set of stitch markers that were all free gifts with purchase. Is that color not gorgeous? This is the color Spark. Absolutely stunning. And I need to figure out where, because I do have, my wool yarns are separated and they're in plastic bucket. So I need to figure out where this is, although I see yarn over there this goes with. I need to figure out where she is. I don't remember what color I bought from her last time, but I feel like it was close to this. So if I have 2 of these, I'm not dissatisfied. I mean, obviously these are some of my favorite colors. It's just stunning. And I love speckles. Now you already know, if you've been around, I do knit. I prefer to crochet, so most of these yarns will absolutely be crocheted up. Oh, you know what? I might do 2 stores per day, because I did go to Knitting Bee in Richmond, so that's technically 6 yarn stores. So that's 3 videos, 2, 4, 6 videos, and then the 4th video will be 757 Creative with Little Man. So I can do 2 videos a day. So that's the way we'll work it. We'll do 2 of the yarn shops every day, and then as a bonus, we'll feature Knitting Bee. And I can show you what I bought at Knitting Bee as well, because it was not a part of the James River yarn crawl, but she kind of like attached herself to the yarn crawl, and the fact that she's all, we're having our own little yarn crawl over here. They were very aware of the James River yarn crawl, and she's all, we're going to do 25% off the whole store, and it's during the same days as the yarn crawl. So if you just happen to be going through Richmond, you're going from Dances with Wool to Center of the Yarniverse, you can also stop by Knitting Bee and get 3 stores in Richmond at once. I think it's fantastic. Knitting Bee is definitely worth popping into. Actually, all 3 of those stores are pretty decent. Center of the Yarniverse was really a lot of people in a very close space. That's the only thing that I had against there. But they also had a little ice cream truck, and Little Man got ice cream. And it was only for that day. Like every day they're doing something different. Today, which is Sunday, they have an alpaca to come visit. You can pet an alpaca and take pictures with an alpaca. Yesterday when we went to Center of the Yarniverse, they had an ice cream truck out in the parking lot. And because I have food allergies, I can't eat from a food truck like that, because cross-contamination can make me sick, and it's not worth chancing it for that. And so I got him a flight of ice cream, and it was 4 little tiny cups of ice cream, perfect for his size. He really enjoyed it, and it was something fun he got to do. And I gave him some of the freebies from some of the shops. So Center of the Yarniverse gave me a notebook with a pen in it. It was a red notebook. He got to pick out which one he wanted. The only problem with that is the ink pen that was attached to the notebook didn't have a pen inside of it. It was just the outer shell of the ink pen. So it didn't have an ink pen in it. But I told him, I was like, I have extra ink pens. You can have one of my ink pens to go with your little notebook. And then, yeah. I think that's going to be it for today's video, because if I put all of this into one video, it would be about 5 hours long, and I'm not willing to do that. I love you guys, but I don't love you long enough to sit here for 5 hours. And I'm going to break this up into videos throughout the week. I'm going to be wearing something different tomorrow. I'm probably going to film all the rest of the week's videos tomorrow, so I'm probably going to be wearing the same outfit for the rest of the week, except the little man video. What are you looking for?
I'm looking for, I just plugged in the Cricut to my computer. Now it's printing it's cutting the test image.
Okay.
You're cutting that and material.
Yes.
Okay. Well, give me 2 minutes for me to end this video.
And well, while she's doing that, do the garbage.
So, yeah. The rest of the week I will film the 6 yarn shops that we went to. I overall highly recommend doing a yarn crawl if you are able to. I purposely at 2 of the stores bought yarns that were not $30 a hank. Like the prices vary so much in a local yarn shop. Some yarn shops have all kinds of price points. Some yarn shops are like, oh, they start at $30 and go up, or they start at $20 and go up. So at 2 of the shops particularly, I bought name brand, not small dyer yarns. And I was like, okay, this is what you can buy at the yarn shops. You can still do a yarn crawl for not a huge amount of money. As a matter of fact, there was a mom and a daughter. The daughter was probably a little bit older than little man. So I want to say 10 to 12 years old. And we saw them at Dances with Wool. And they were with us the whole day. It was really funny. We started at Dances with Wool. And we saw them there. And the little girl had a mini hank. I don't think I have one close by. It was like a 25-gram hank of yarn. It was real small. And she's holding it in her hand like this. And she wanted to do the yarn crawl. You could tell. And the mom goes, is there a limit of how much money you have to spend to get your passport stamp? And Erin, who works at Dances with Wolves, like, no. Like, you could have went in and bought a stitch marker, okay, and get your passport stamp. They just want you in the store and spending money, you know. And so they want you to come partake in all of the fun stuff. You don't have to spend $100 at a yarn shop to participate in a yarn crawl. And so the little girl had her little tiny little hank. And I felt kind of bad because like and I got like 3 or 4, you know. And so she goes up and she pays. And then we go over to Center of the Yarniverse. And Mr. Cinnamon said that they were there. I didn't see them because there were so many people. Hi, Benjamin! Come here. Up. Up. This is a good boy. That's Bentley. Kiss. Thank you. And he said that they were at the second store. I was like, well, I didn't see them. I was talking to other people. And they answered a lot of people's questions. I did not get recognized anywhere. And that's totally fine with me. Because I had quite a few people say, did you get recognized? No. There was no cinnamon buns at the stores we went to. And if there were, they didn't approach me and it was fine. So he said they were the second store. I didn't see them. I don't know what she purchased there. But then when we were pulling into Yarn Matters, they were pulling into Yarn Matters. And I recognized them because they had a little tiny, I think a Pomeranian in the car with them. And then they went into that shop as well. And so I tried to keep in mind, like, yes, I went with the purpose of buying small dyers yarn. I want to feature small dyers. I want to show you guys, like, hey, check out Trilogy yarns. I mean, Trilogy is a lot bigger than some of the other ones. Check out Fredericksburg Fibers. Check out Ridiculous. I went with the idea of trying. Trilogy is not local to me, but I think Trilogy's in Washington. Spokane, Washington. I went to each shop with the idea, hopefully this battery lasts longer than that one did. some of my batteries are older and they don't last as long as the newer ones, but really I only have about a 20-minute window before they die anyway. And little man keeps coming in every 2 minutes because he wants to play with the Cricut machine. I have no idea what I was saying. Oh, my personal plan was look for smaller dyers or local dyers, local to me dyers. That was my goal. That's what I wanted to purchase. I wanted to purchase DK and worsted weights. I wanted to use colors that can either go together or go with other yarns that I already have at home to make a bigger project, or yarns I just could not, like, oh my god, color, I need it, I have to have it. I also was working within a budget. But also I was thinking about you guys, and so at 2 of the stores I purchased yarns that I would consider on the lower end of prices. Now, it's not $2-3 balls of yarn. Some yarn stores absolutely have $2-3, generally about $5 balls of yarn. They will also always have clearances or sale things that are like sometimes 40% off. But on average, I would say $5 to $10 you can get a name brand yarn at almost any local yarn shop. Either it will be Universal Yarns or Cascade Yarns, or Barocco will have sometimes. And so I kept that in mind, and I purchased at 2 different shops to give you guys an idea that you don't have to buy. And I saw hanks of yarn that were $47. And while I loved them, I was not paying $47 for a single hank of yarn. As much as I want, I'm not. My wallet said no. So I try to keep you guys in mind as well, because I know not everybody can afford to do that. But I mean, also create your own yarn crawl if you want. Save up some money and hit up whatever local yarn stores you have, whether it be a small yarn shop or Michael's. You can do your own yarn crawl, create your own yarn crawl, have fun with it. Make a plan and go, I want to make a project, but I want to make a project with one skein of yarn from Walmart, Michael's, Joann's, Hobby Lobby, etc., etc. You can do your own yarn crawl in your own area. For me personally, I live in a densely populated area. I mean, I live on the outskirts of it, but like 20 minutes from me, I have Michael's, Hobby Lobby. We used to have AC Moore, which was fantastic. Michael's, Hobby Lobby. Joann's is in the other direction, a little bit further away. I'm missing somebody. Joann's, Michael's, Hobby Lobby, Walmart. Where else can I buy yarn in this area? So you can do your own little yarn crawl if you have stores like that. Dollar Tree. Hit up a bunch of Dollar Trees and just look at their yarn. $1.25 here, $1.25 there, $1.25 there. There's rumors I've seen online that they have a new chenille yarn at the Dollar Tree, and some of the Dollar Trees are actually restocking their yarns. My local Dollar Tree is not, but I mean, you might have luck doing that as well. You don't have to do a yarn crawl to this level to have your own yarn crawl and have fun. Make your own little passport. I don't even have my passport because I turned it in, but like the passport was like a little pamphlet, and you open it up and each shop stamped it. You can make your own, draw on there. Walmart, stamp it. Write down what you wrote in what you bought in Walmart. Michael's, write down what you bought at Michael's. You can do your own little cute little cheapy yarn crawl. It doesn't have to be local yarn shops. I suggest that if you can afford to go to these bigger yarn shop, I mean, check them out. They're fun. Even if you're on a budget though, I found hanks of yarn for $8.50 for a hank. And I will show those because I purchased it. So it's an acrylic cotton wool blend, but there's also, and it's not all wool. I bought mostly wool, but they do have cottons. They have acrylics at local yarn shops. And while most local yarn shops absolutely cater to knitting, I did find some of these shops were very friendly to crocheters. I know that Knitting Bee in Richmond, which is not part of the hang on, baby. You want back in, huh? Bentley wants back in. I locked the door because the little man kept coming in. Knitting Bee they have never at all made me feel like crochet was a yuck. There are some shops that are like, oh, they assume you knit because you're in that store, but I did experience that this weekend. I absolutely experienced that this weekend. Like, they just assumed I was a knitter, even though I'm wearing crochet. She goes, so you knit and crochet? And I was like, yeah, but I prefer crochet. I'm gonna be wrong. I prefer crochet. I like knitting small things. I like knitting hats. I want to make gloves. I like knitting socks on occasion, on a rare occasion, but on occasion I do enjoy making socks. I am getting the is it hankering? I have the urge to want to make a knit shawl. I also got a free pattern from one of the shops I went to for a really beautiful cowl that is worked in the round, which I love knitting in the round. I don't like knitting back and forth, and I don't know why. I like knitting in the round because it's like I just keep going and going and going and going, right? And it is a tube. It is a tube cowl, and it's beautiful, and she was working on it, and that's why she gave me the free pattern. And I was like, I'm kind of obsessed with it, and it looks easy enough that it's one sheet, it's one page. It looks easy enough that I will be able to knit it. Because as you know, I can knit. I can do quite a few knit stitches. Like I can do stockinette, I can do purl, I can do slip stitches, I can do SSK, I can do knit to the left. Like, there's a lot of things I know how to do. I just don't like doing some of those stitches. Like, to me, it either hurts my hands or I find it tedious. A lot of it I find tedious. Whereas crochet is like, I design my own crochet, whereas with knitting I'm following somebody else's pattern. And so sometimes knitting just seems really tedious to me, and I don't enjoy it as much as I enjoy crocheting. Crocheting is very much my heart. As is spinning, is really much become something I really, really enjoy doing when my hands cooperate and I'm not throwing my drop spindle across the room. Like, literally, I went to go spin it and I lost all grip and it flew across the living room. But I am really, really excited to show you what I purchased at each one of these shops and give you an in-depth tour. Some of them I did a tour of the shop. I like really filmed. Some of the shops were too small and way too crowded for me to get good video because I'm not filming other people's children. Center of the Yarniverse specifically, I don't know if I got any good footage in there because there were a lot of children in there. A lot. Like baby children. And I'm like, I'm not filming in here. I think I did some filming of the yarn, but I don't think I did an overall of the shop because it was very claustrophobic in there and very too many, there was way too many people. But other than that, it was a really amazing experience. I had a lot of fun. Little Man for the most part was really good and didn't give me any problems. We stayed at a hotel, so we went to 3 shops the first day. We stayed in a hotel last night, and then we went to the last 3. I'm saying 3, okay? There's only 5 that are officially part of this, but I went to 6 shops. I went to 3 the first day and 3 the second day. Actually, I went to 4 shops yesterday because I went to 757 Creative, but that's neither here nor there. That was just a side trip. I also went to Wegmans if you're interested because, and this was really strange because most hotels do not have any gluten-free options because you guys know I'm allergic to gluten. I get violently ill if I ingest it. And a hotel breakfast, there's a lot of people just cross-contaminating, touching. I can't eat at a hotel breakfast. And so a lot of times I have to either eat just eggs and hope that they haven't touched anything else. Or because even sausage a lot of times has wheat in it. It's insane. And Mr. Cinnamon went down there and he's like, do you have any gluten-free options? And she's all, they had one single Udi's, which is a brand, gluten-free bagel in a pre-packaged, completely sealed off. And they had little individual cream cheeses. And I haven't had a decent bagel in 3 years. So it was pretty nice to have a decent bagel. I also don't allow myself to eat those things. I'm a diabetic, so I'm really restrictive with what I do and do not put into my body. And carbohydrates are not one of them, but also I'm allergic to gluten, so I'm really careful with what goes in my body. So we go to Wegmans because Wegmans has gluten-free options that I can pop in the microwave, that I can heat up for myself for breakfast. Wegmans is a grocery store here. They have a wide variety of gluten-free options. Walmart actually has quite a bit too now in their freezer department. They're getting more and more, which is crazy. Aldi's is hit or miss whether they have gluten-free options, but I usually have to buy myself something to heat up in the microwave so that I have something to eat while we're at the hotel. We also had a nice dinner last night. We went to Carrabba's and I had some caprese with burrata cheese. Oh. Mr. Cinnamon had it with bread, but I can't eat the bread, so I just had it by itself. And then I had a really nice Italian salad, and I had some chicken brine, which is chicken with lemon butter and goat cheese on it. It was really a really good meal after going shopping all day. And then when we got back to the hotel had a pool. We packed our bathing suits, and we were all just too tired. We couldn't get in the pool. We were exhausted. And I started getting a lot of like pain in my hands and my feet again. So I was like, I'm just gonna try to go to sleep. And I didn't do that real successfully, which is why I'm exhausted today. But I also have arthritis in my back. And I have a memory foam mattress, and I'm very spoiled by it. But I also have a memory foam wedge that I sleep on. It's a triangle-shaped pillow. I paid $65 for it on Amazon. It is the best thing I have ever bought for myself in my entire life, because it fixes so many of the issues I have with sleeping. It keeps me elevated enough that my back doesn't lock up on me. Because if I lay on a flat bed, I wake up like a question mark hunched over, and I cannot stand up straight sometimes till afternoon because arthritis just locks my back. And the wedge pillow has pretty much stopped that from happening, which is insane to me. I don't know why it helps so much. I think it's because it's memory foam, but also because it's a wedge pillow. And also I have stomach issues, and it's not just, I mean, there's a lot of issues in my stomach aside from just not being able to ingest wheat. And so also that wedge pillow will help deal with a lot of my stomach issues. It helps my food to want to digest better by having that wedge pillow. And when I'm sleeping in a hotel and I don't bring, sometimes I bring my wedge pillow, but if I don't bring that wedge pillow, I usually am in pain the next day or that night. And I was in pain last night. So I'm really looking forward to cuddling with that dog that is on the other side of the door that is waiting for his mama. Look at that baby boy. And my memory foam mattress and wedge pillow. He missed me so much. He's being such a cuddle bug. Like I said, he did get sick before we left, which left me in a panic because if you weren't around last year, he got really sick. He swallowed a toy last year just after Easter. And he was in the hospital for 4 days, and he was really, really, really sick, and it terrified me. And if you don't know, Bentley is my emotional support dog. We kind of rescued each other. And he missed me so much, and I missed him, and I'm just glad he's okay. I gave him pumpkin and rice and broth before I left, and I had Juju feed it to him while we were gone, and he's feeling a lot better. He's feeling a lot better. I think he's been eating stuff around the backyard, and I don't know if the next door neighbor is trying to cause problems by feeding him stuff he's not supposed to have, because it seems like that's what's happening, so we've been watching that. Or if he's just being gross and eating nasty things out of the backyard. Because dogs do that. But yeah, I'm really excited about the videos this week. I hope this video hasn't been too long. I have no idea how long we've been recording. I'm really excited to show you everything. I got these beautiful things from Knitting Bee in Richmond. Knitting Bee, like I said, is not part of the James River Yarn Crawl, and all of their yarn is 25% off this week. And I had reward points, so the deal I got on that yarn was amazing, and I about cried coming out of that store. Because I was significantly under my budget for that. I got such a good deal. These yarns were almost buy one, get one free, and she gave me a free pattern. So that was that was the last shop we stopped at, and it just put the cherry on top of a really beautiful weekend of just yarn porn and like beautiful things. And I really do hope that you will watch the videos this week, because a lot of times when I do an event like this, when I'm with my family on the weekends, I am just mommy, and I am honey, and I am just Jen. And I don't like to work on the weekends. I don't like to take that attention away from my kids, but I really wanted to share this with you guys because this is my first yarn crawl, and I really wanted to share that with all of you. I had so much fun, and I saved up so much money for this, and like I worked really hard through premiere week and everything to just be able to afford to do this trip. And yeah, I really am excited to share it with you guys. So I worked really hard trying to be mindful of recording. It's going to be voiceover on the videos inside the stores, because like I said, a lot of the stores, some of the stores were just jam-packed with people, and I don't want to intrude on anybody's personal conversations, or I tried to like film until I reached where somebody was standing, and I would pause it, and then I would go over and then try to continue that way, so that I was mindful. I'm also going to slow the videos down so that you guys can, because I know a lot of shopping videos, the people are like, oh, look at this, because that's what we're doing naturally. But I'm watching a video, like I want to stop and pause and go, oh, that's nice. So I'm going to slow the videos down and do a voiceover and talk about my experience in the store, what I loved about the store, maybe what I didn't like about the store. Would I go back to that store? I would actually go back to almost all of these stores. I do have a favorite. I actually have two favorites. But I don't think I'm going to give you any there wasn't anything really negative. One of the stores, I don't think I will ever go back to that store, just because she didn't have the type of yarn I like. It wasn't that it was a bad store, it just wasn't my favorite. So I don't think I would go back to her store. And it's not one of those things where I'll never go back to that store. Like if I was in the area, maybe I would pop in, but it's not on my list. And I have some stores that I just don't care for and I don't go to. Like my very local, closest to me store, I don't really care for. They don't carry yarns that I like. Like, you know, bright colors. They don't have that. It's all like burgundies and navy blue. Like it's a lot of that. And it's not like, they don't have a lot of like small hand dyers, and if they do, it's all very just bland and neutral to me. And then what was I gonna say? One of the stores was really small, and I was uncomfortable in it because it was so small. And another one of the stores was so jam-packed with yarn, shelving systems, and people that I don't know. I would probably go back when they're not having an event, but I did not enjoy that store as a whole because there were so many people, and I was I was uncomfortable in there. I was very overstimulated. There were very bright fluorescent lights, and there was a lot of people, and I found myself squeezing in between a lot of stuff. So it was definitely a fire hazard the way they had it set up for the event. But they had beautiful yarns, and I bought quite a bit from that store because I really enjoyed it. But all in all, it was really good. I stayed under budget. I think I may have $30 left over, although I bought myself lunch, so I might not have $30 left over. I stayed under budget or right at budget, and I have enough to pay my taxes, and I'm so happy. I have all my groceries in my house. The bills are paid. So with that in itself is a huge stress reliever and success for me. Keep in mind when you're watching the videos this week, try not to add up the totals or try to estimate what you think I spent, and don't feel bad about what I spent. And the reason I say that is because I run a channel. I am not, if it was just Jennifer and just Jennifer wasn't running a channel and I went to the yarn crawl, I would be buying a $10 ball, a $10 ball, a $10 ball, because that's what would be reasonable to me in real life. I run a channel, and some of this is very much for content only, and it's not reasonable to live that way if you're not a channel creator, okay? And if you're a small channel, it's probably not even reasonable then either. A lot of this is for content. Keep that in mind. I'm not trying to make anyone feel bad about my purchases. I don't want anybody to feel bad that they can't afford some of these yarns or the higher end yarns. And I get a lot of comments when I show these yarns. I wish I could afford that. I wish you could too. I wish you could too. And you don't have to explain to me. I get it. I get it more than you understand. This is a channel thing. I went for my own benefit, but a lot of this yarn is going to either be put into tutorials for the channel, so it's a tax write-off, or it's a lot of it is for the channel. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. This whole situation, the way I did it, was not at all reasonable for your average everyday Joe. It's not. And I'm not promoting you living to excess. I'm not promoting you spending beyond your means. That's why I really made the video on Fridays, like, make a budget, whatever you can budget, whatever you can afford. If it's $50 for all 5 shops, $50 for all 5 shops. If you can't afford that and you can only shop at the Dollar Tree, $1.25, $1.25, and go to a couple $1.25 trees and get yourself a couple of skeins of yarn and make yourself a pretty project with those. Try to like mix and match from each shop. Like, really think beyond what you normally see people doing. It doesn't have to be high-end yarns, you know. This was a huge treat for myself. I worked really hard to be able to do this, and it's for channel content. Now, with all of that disclaimers, please be kind in the comments all week. Don't add up what you think any of these yarns cost, because that's not going to help anybody, and it's not going to make you feel good about yourself. It's not going to make me feel good or bad about myself. It just is what it is. This is all for fun. It's all for enjoyment and entertainment, and it's really for just making me smile ridiculous amounts and squishing all of the yarns and just like sniffing a lot of it. I bought one of the yarns at one of the shops that was, she told me it's a local farm that has sheep, shears the sheep, spins the yarn, dyes the yarn. She does the whole process. She's a one-woman show. And she said, and for what she does and the product she has, and I know how much hand spun yarn is, okay? I know. I also know the labor that is put into, like, the ridiculous amount of labor it takes from making it from sheep to fiber, especially when it's just you or it's a family-run business even. I don't understand why it's so cheap. I'm just going to say that. So if you're spending $30 for 50 grams of yarn and I put literally days worth of work into it, to me, that is not enough money. Just think about that. Just process that in your head. Somebody is literally shearing the sheep, washing and washing and washing the wool and making sure it's clean and doesn't have all little poop balls in it, right? Or bugs or whatever else could be on a sheep. Then they're spinning it, which sometimes takes hours. Well, actually, there's more than, I mean, you have to process it. You clean it, then you process it, then you spin it. Or you can dye it and then spin it, or like whatever the process is. Dyeing in itself is laborious. It is a back-breaking job to dye yarn. If you don't know this, it is back-breaking. You have to stand over and watch it and nurse it. Make sure you don't burn it or melt it, depending on the fibers. And then you have to wash it. The washing process is back-breaking. Every single time I'm like, oh my God, my back is killing me. Because I've hand-dyed yarns. I have quite a few hanks here that I do. I have bare yarn waiting to be dyed. Then you have to hang it and dry it. Make sure it doesn't shrink up too much on you. There's a whole process. Like, dyeing is laborious. Spinning is laborious. I personally enjoy it, but I'm only doing it for my benefit. Like, doing that as a business, I can't even imagine. It should be significantly more money. The whole process of just hand doing all of that. So she was right. Like, it was a really good price for the amount of yarn I got. And she's telling me about this one. I think she's in Maryland. I will cover that in detail this week. And I'm standing there literally pulling it off the shelf, and I could smell the sheepiness coming off of it, which some people hate. I love the smell of a sheep. I love the hay smell. Like, you can still smell the sheep in the wool. That's my favorite wool. I don't like rough wool specifically, but if it smells sheepy, like, I just want to stand there and smell it. I don't know why. Something about that smells so comforting to me. And I'm going to shut up because I know that this video is long already. But definitely stay tuned all week. We got a lot of fun stuff coming up. And thank you so much for sticking with me this long, if you have stuck with me through this entire video. If you guys are new here and you made it this far, I'm so glad you made it. All of my videos are not this long. Just the Monday Makes videos are long. It's going to be a lot of fun making these videos this week and showing you all the beautiful yarn pretties, and maybe making some wigs out of the skeins of yarn because we like to wear our yarn. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye, guys.